All right, that it was Pat, and glad his son and his family were okay, and that he had a shelter, and definitely a lot of people impacted on that particular day by the storm. Let's check in with Lake Martin John. Lake Martin John, you're in with the Martin Houston Show. What's on your mind, sir?
Good morning, Mr. Houston. How are you, sir?
Doing well.
All right, great. A question about your 92 team.
Yes, sir.
Before I get there, I'll go ahead and give you a quick statement on our deal during the tornado. We're here on Lake Martin. It came within about a mile of our house. We were very fortunate. But we talked to some people here on the lake who were from Birmingham, and they had left that day to come to their house on the lake. And he was upset with his wife because she had left a roast that they had cooked on the stove in Birmingham. So they went to the Kalijah restaurant. While they were in the restaurant, they put their lake in the house. I mean, their house in the lake, and there wasn't much more than pipes coming up out of the ground. So,
oh wow!
Hey.
Needless to say, had he had the roast, he'd have been at home.
Oh man! So, but anyway, one of the things that I have been so proud about that 92, and like I've said, that was my favorite year, was the trash talking. Sometime when you have a few minutes, I'd like you to comment on what role Miami. I was living in Tampa at the time, and I'll tell you, trash talking from the Hurricanes was at its peak, and I didn't hear an awful lot from the Crimson Tide. Derek Classic, I worked with a friend that went to high school with Derek, and he said he'll guarantee you Derek will have something to say at some point. Other than that, what role did that play in the game?
Well, that from their side, that was their style. That's how they played. That was the Miami Bad Boys, and they kind of got that reputation, and they embraced it, and it worked for them with the whole what was it, Catholic versus the convicts with the Notre Dame game, and from that point on, they were kind of the bad boys of college football, and they lived up to it for quite a while, and was, I think, on a 28-game win streak when we played them, and so they didn't just talk it, they backed it up. But we were quietly confident. We didn't do a whole lot of talking and yakking in the streets. There were a couple of incidents, like Martin John, that they that kind of ran into each other in the streets. I was not there, but other guys were there, and one of the main talkers, ironically, was a linebacker named Rohan Marley. You probably know his dad, Bob. So he was probably the main trash talker and didn't necessarily play a whole lot, but he did play some, and he was smack talker. But that smack talking didn't last once the game started.
Yeah, and I will say that one of the things that I'm really proud about is it didn't last past that. I haven't heard that kind of talk out of Miami since that game. Y'all put an end to it. I'm proud of it.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyway,
right. God bless everybody. Y'all have a great day. I really enjoy the show, Martin.
God bless you, and thank you, sir. Coming back on the other side, we will continue remembering 2011. Glad to welcome in the crew from the social media streaming side. We did get that audio up and working, so we welcome you guys into the program as well. As I go to break here, I do want to take a moment and encourage you. Something happened yesterday, and I addressed it, semi-addressed it on the air, and that was Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing. Pat said he had recommended Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing, and that the gentleman that Paul Fuller and his team didn't give the discount. I want to come back and reaffirm the client did receive a discount, and Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing will give you a discount based on the fact that just tell them you heard about them right here on the Martin Houston Show. she was a satisfied client. She chose the color. Pat said he wouldn't have, but that's why Paul Fuller and his team called them custom. That's why it's Tuscaloosa custom curbing, meaning each person get to pick the design and the layout that they want, and then Paul and his team will make sure that they provide the service that you need to fit what you want, not a cookie cutter like a lot of curbing services you may have. So go to Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing on Facebook, check them out, and you can actually scroll down and you can see all of the great jobs that he has done here in the Tuscaloosa, West Alabama, and even into Mississippi area. If you're looking for some custom curbing, there's no one better than Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing. You can call them at 205-331-6823. Thanks, Paul, for being a part of the program. And I just wanted to reiterate that Paul is a man of his word, and his work is impeccable. So give him a shot and give him a chance to serve you. Thank you and have a blessed day. We'll be back on the other side with more of DC Capstone Report.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, no wrecks and traffic is light on a special day of remembrance for West Alabama and Tuscaloosa. 427. Please drive carefully. To see conditions, just give us a call. Today's the day to trade in and trade up to a brand new Nissan at Townsend Nissan, your hometown dealer. I'm Captain Ray.
Hello, this is Martin Houston with the Martin Houston Show, and I want to tell you about one of our great sponsors, Overflow Express Wash. Their mission is to provide great customer service with a showroom clean car and an exceptional customer service experience. They have the basic car wash that starts at $7, but you need to check out the premium wash packages, which start as low as $12 and go up to $20. They also have a membership wash club that you can get for starting $23.99 going up to $39.99. In other words, just up the regular premium package, drop a penny, and you can be one of the great members of Overflow Express Wash. My family and I keep our cars looking good inside and out by using Overflow Express Wash. They're located on Skyland Boulevard right next door to Alabama 1, or you can find them online at overflowexpresswash.com. And Phillips and his team look forward to making you a part of their team.
Child Abuse Prevention Services of Tuscaloosa presents its second annual Blue Ribbon Gala, fundraising event recognizing champions of children on Friday evening, April 30th from 6 to 10 at the Dinah Washington Cultural Arts Center, located at 620 Greensboro Avenue. Keynote speaker Dr. Cynthia Warwick, who is an advocate for children having great childhoods, and she is president of Stillman College. There'll be entertainment from blues artist B.J. Reed and, of course, Dre Day providing the soundtrack from 1051 The Block. Dress to impress in your semi-formal blues. Tickets for $35 and tables of 5 for $175. Childhoods are looking greater thanks to their sponsors: United Way, Children's Trust Fund, Michael McComb Agency, Homestyle Furniture Warehouse, and Town Square Media. Sponsorships are still available. For more information, call 205-758-1159. That's 205-758-1159.
Nick Saban calls it the process. John Maxwell said that everything rises and falls on it. And Coach Wooden said it's what you learn after you think you know it all makes a difference. What am I talking about? Leadership and personal development. Is your organization, your school, your church, your family, are they receiving you with that? We have our pep talks, which is a 1 to 1.5 hour lunch and learn, which we can customize to meet your needs, or we have some topics that we present that we know can help your organization. And if you're looking for one-on-one mentoring and coaching, we can also assist you with that. Right, visit peptalks35.com.
App. All right, you're hot right now.
We're back in with the Martin Houston Show. This day, 10 years ago, how important is it to Alabama football? Well, before we get into that, I want to give DC a chance to just recollect, what a day it was. Absolutely changed so many things and impacted so many people, not just in the state of Alabama, not just in the city of Tuscaloosa, but around the country. What are you remembering on this 10th anniversary of April 27th, DC?
Well, I have a lot of vivid memories of that day. I guess the big takeaway from that day that I have is that the resiliency of the people in Tuscaloosa, and I guess the coming together to help one another. That day, I saw a lot of people coming together to help one another. We've got so many stories, but I guess that morning, most people forget about that morning. There was a large tornado that came over Tuscaloosa and actually touched down in Berry, Alabama, that killed several people that morning. And that one actually knocked the power out at my office downtown Tuscaloosa. So when everybody showed up, we didn't have power. So I canceled work that day. So one of those things that when you look back, if we had not been, if we'd been working that day, all of my employees would have been getting off about the time the big tornado came through and hitting in all directions of Tuscaloosa. So that was a blessing. But that also gave me the day off, and I was at home in my storm shelter when the tornado came through. Of course, we, just like everyone else, saw James Spann on TV. We saw John O'Shoe's footage of it coming from down Greene County heading our way. And my wife, Karen, and I got in the storm shelter, and we just rode it out there praying for our city. And when we came out, we began to see all the destruction, and we immediately drove, just like you drove to see your church. We drove to see if my office was still standing, and it had came within about a mile from my office, and we saw the damage on 15th Street, and then we saw the dazed and confused students who were walking around, and then there was just a panic of people thinking that another one was on its way. And
yeah,
I remember that feeling of panic that day in the streets and everything. But the blessings that came from that day was Sharon and I attended for the Harvest Baptist Church at that time. We still attend Harvest Church, and we had an In the Streets ministry, and that April 23rd, we had an In the Streets ministry day. So our trailer was still full of things that we didn't give away. We had a couple packs of water and some clothes, and we just got on the phone and called some people that worked in that ministry, called our pastor, Dan Williams, and he fully supported, hey, let's go out there and see what we can do. So I remember Christy, my pianist, and a few others showed up with a couple of bags of water and different things to give away and what we had on the trailer. And I remember we went out there that evening late and got into the heart of things before they even stopped me from going in, because everyone was trying to help at that point. And we were able to just start collecting things and giving things away. And we became the de facto place to drop off your stuff to help the community. So we got to see everything. So the next morning when we go out there, they had moved us back to right there on University Boulevard, and going to kind of get out of the way because it was so dangerous and still in the area of Alberta where we were. And kind of set up. And then from that day, we saw people come by dropping off stuff. The city of Tuscaloosa just turned out. And that's when we saw the football team come by with carts full of ice and different things. And we cooked, and we gave away food, we gave away all the clothes we had. And then still a day and a half later, they were still rescuing people that were trapped in some of the apartments and other things. And so seeing that and seeing the people pull together, Martin, I know you're a believer and you know how God works, but we went out there with 2 cases of water. We never stopped giving away water the whole time we were out there for people bringing by. And in a week, we stayed there on the ground in a week, feeding and clothing and giving water to those in need. And we were able to go back to our facility, our church, with a truck full of water left over. That's how much the people turned out to give, and we received everything that we could possibly need to give away that day and for that rest of that week that they're on the ground. So just amazing to see everyone turn out to help everybody in the community.
Yeah, it was really an amazing day, and I had one of my church members at that time. As I said, we planted the church, and when he was hit that morning by the storm that hit over in the Vance area, leveled his house down to the slab, and he and his family were in it. And his now senior son, he's a senior this year, was sucked away, DC, and I have to share this story. He was sucked away into the darkness as the dad reached to grab him. He had one son in his hand and went to grab this one, and as he did, the storm pulled him away, and the son tells the story. He said, I went way up in the air, and then he said I floated down as if someone was just like setting me back down on the ground, and he was barefoot and walking back. And they were like, well, how did you find your way back? And the only thing that was kind of left was at the house, and the family all survived, was the dad's flashlight. And he said, my father's flashlight. And he followed the light back safely into his dad's and mom's arms. And of course, if that doesn't tell you what we can all learn, if when we're out there in dark and out there alone and lost, if we'll follow the Father's light, we can get back safely. So, but he was there, and of course, one of my teammates and Joe, correct me, isn't Gary going to highlight Shannon Brown today?
Yes, sir. At 9 o'clock. Be tuning in for that. 9 o'clock.
Yeah, Shannon Brown and our teammates. And of course, we both were married in '92, and our kids were the same age. So he lost his daughter, who was the same age as my oldest son, in that storm. And so he's going to be on with Gary Harris today, remembering that. And, we pray for all of those, DC, who lost loved ones on that day or lost. And there's still, when you drive through Tuscaloosa, there's still areas and pockets that still have not fully recovered from the devastation of that day. And then some areas have gotten better and stronger. But for those of you who individually were impacted, we lift you up and pray for you on this day as you remember 10 years later. I do believe this, DC. I don't know that Saban would or would not have left. I, without a doubt, believe that cemented him here at the University of Alabama. I think that. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I absolutely agree. I saw with my own eyes. Knew him before from just covering and watching him, but the way he talked, his actions subsequent to the tornado, he was a different man than before, and just realized then that I think as he began to plant roots here and to build. I worked with the Habitat for Humanity and building houses since that time, and all that effort that he's put in that is genuine. It's not a show. He genuinely is trying his best to get back to this.
Yeah, and I was blessed to be. I worked for Moody Radio at the time, and I was blessed to have the opportunity to interview, them around the building of the first house. People may or may not know this. At the time when all of that finished out, I think that was our 13th national title. And he built a house for every national championship. And to this day, he still builds a house. And I used to keep up with every time we added one on, I would go back to Miss Saban and say, okay, are y'all building one? And just a neat story of how they gave back. Like I said, at that point, 5 years in, at that point, I think people were still concerned with whether or not Nick Saban may leave and go to Texas or somewhere else, and whether someone could buy him out of Tuscaloosa. I think that solidified her as a part of this community. And they build those homes. And a really neat story, DC, before we get to break, and then we'll talk a little bit about Texas on the other side of the break, was that after they had built the first set of houses, they got them built, and then we playing Notre Dame in the national championship game. Let me tell you how much impact the Sabans had. I asked Miss Saban, when they landed, everybody was going after Coach Saban after we beat Notre Dame, and she was standing off by herself, and I went over and interviewed her. And I said, well, do you all plan to build another house for a family now that we've won another national championship? And she said, Mark, and not only are we going to build another house, she said, we had friends and supporters sending me texts during the game telling me, count me in on the next one. So, so to me, that just shows you just the heart of the Sabans and the people they're associated with. And of course, we know at least 17 families have homes, and we'll see. And I don't know what happens next, but we know at least 17 have them, and we'll see how many more Nick Saban is able to add to that list as he continues to go forward. Any closing thoughts on that, or anything regarding Nick Saban in the tornado before we get to break here?
Well, I just think that day changed. And when I say that, I don't say that lightly. I think before that day, he had if you hear him talk before and talk afterwards, his life was in a different perspective after that. And I think that day changed all of us. When you think about it, it changed me, it changed you, because we see things from a different perspective. And sometimes it's good. Sometimes bad things are good to help us gain a different perspective on life itself. And I think it did for Coach Saban.
Yeah, without a doubt, a power perspective. I think he was rooted and grounded. And much like the impact of the hurricane galvanized and hoisted the New Orleans Saints to a Super Bowl, I believe the same type of impact happened for that particular national championship team. And they went on to, I believe, legitimize and start not just a fluke, but show that Alabama football was here to stay under the Nick Saban era, and we're still living out the joys of that. We remember.
And I think you didn't mention it yet, but I think because it hit so close to his team with Carson Tinker losing his girlfriend that day and him being injured, I think Coach Saban going to DCH and seeing him in the hospital bed really put everything in perspective.
Absolutely. And it's a day that changed the state of Alabama. I think it changed the direction of the city. I think it changed the direction of the program and Nick Saban. And we have seen it be beneficial off the field. But we, as Alabama fans, I believe, have reaped that change of heart and perspective, and still reaping it as Nick Saban heads into his 15th year coaching the Alabama Crimson Tide. Who would have ever thunk it on April 26th that we would still be talking about Nick Saban as the head coach of the University of Alabama? Did April 27th have anything to do with that? I think so. We'll talk more about Alabama football. Young man who's been a part of the Alabama program, now headed to a place that many thought Saban may end up. We'll talk about that on the other side right here on the Martin Houston Show.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center on a good-looking Tuesday morning, no wrecks, minor congestion on McFarland, at US 43 in Lurleen and Northport. Everything else looks good. If you see conditions, of course, give us a call. Today's the day to trade in and trade up to a brand new Nissan at Townsend Nissan, your hometown dealer. I'm Captain Ray.
Here's what's trending on the Tuscaloosa thread.
Good morning. Tuscaloosa and most of the state of Alabama are marking the 10th anniversary of the worst supercell tornado outbreak in state history. 53 people lost their lives locally. More than 1,000 were injured. Ceremonies will be conducted this afternoon at 5 at Mary Harmon Park in Rosedale, Alberta Park, and at Forest Lake on 18th Street. Residents of Bibb, Hale, and Perry counties have learned that President Biden has declared their counties and 5 others in the state a federal disaster area from the March 25th storms. I'm Don Hartley, Town Square Media, Tuscaloosa.
Hello, this is Martin Houston with the Martin Houston Show, and I want to tell you about Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing. If you're looking for a way to add value to your home, make your flower beds pop, make your landscaping stand out from your neighbors, then Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing can help you do just that. They have numerous styles, but they feature the Moroccan Stone Curb series, which includes 4 great styles and unlimited color choices That's Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing. They are the one that can help you stand out from your neighbors. Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing, 205-331-6823. You may also find yourself with the need for a custom size stone or custom shaped stone. Then Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing can help with that as well. Paul Fuller and his team are waiting on your call right now for that free quote. And if you tell them that Martin Houston with the Martin Houston Show told you to stop by, you'll get a big discount. So call Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing at 205-331-6823 or visit them online at Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing LLC.
O'Reilly. O'Reilly Auto Parts is here to keep your car on the road with the right parts, advice from our parts professionals, and our free loaner tool program. Your local store has more than 80 specialty tools available for your next repair. Refundable deposit required. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and ask about our free loaner tool program or visit O'ReillyAuto.com. O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Do you feel vibrations when you step on your brake pedal? Is it taking you too long to come to a complete stop? Well, then it just might be time to replace your brakes. Don't wait for brake failure to cause an accident. Replace your brakes with high-quality brakes from Northport Auto Supply. Northport Auto Supply has the area's largest inventory of brakes in stock and will help you find the brakes that are best for your car. Northport Auto Supply. Why go anywhere else?
The sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team. The Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Or no, you got 5 minutes in your heart right now.
Welcome back in, DC Capstone Report. Of course, we've been remembering the storm of 2011, April 27, 2011, and believing that without a doubt it impacted the direction of Alabama football. Coach Nick Saban, the city of Tuscaloosa, on that day. But big news coming yesterday, DC. Love to get your thoughts on Ben Davis's landing place, the Texas Longhorns. Surprised, think it's a good move, excited. Could we see Ben Davis finally flourish as that linebacker we thought he could be?
Yeah, I'm not surprised, and I'm very excited for Ben Davis. Ben Davis has always been a favorite of mine, a local kid coming out of Gordo. His dad, I followed his dad, Wayne Davis, still holds the record for the most tackles for a linebacker. It's really comes from great pedigree, but really great student, graduated, and I think has found a spot where I really believe if you look at that Texas roster, the only thing about it, I believe they've been lacking for a pass rush push. And so I really think that Ben Davis will provide some help for that Texas team. I think knowing Steve Sarkisian is a good thing for him. Knowing the other coaches that went there with him, he'll be able to go in and make the transition. And I really believe this could be the thing that Ben Davis needs. Great player, great skill set, just played behind a lot of 5-stars that came to Alabama that flourished here and did really well and never could break into the starting lineup. So,
and he got in the doghouse as well. I think there was a couple things that happened, not from being a bad person, but some things that happened that you and I know off the field. I'm not off the field, but within a certain thing that Saban wanted, and he just didn't do, and it cost him. But Curtis Moore pointing out Bo Davis is the coach, one of the coaches there on that staff now. That's also a familiarity for Ben Davis in terms of him recruiting.
I think him and Jeff had a really good relationship.
Do it now.
I think Jeff Banks is there as well.
Yes.
He and Ben had a really good relationship.
Yep, and so that all of those things together, we talked about this perspective changing. Maybe Ben Davis seeing a new perspective there could work out to be a great scenario, great situation for him. Real quick, DC, what are your thoughts on the draft for Alabama? And specifically, I saw a story, Devontae Smith, many say is the most complete wide receiver in the draft, but yet, according to some reports, he's sliding a little, very little.
Yeah, I think he's sliding a little, and don't really understand that. My whole perspective of the draft, or the whole draft, is we talk and try to minutely dissect and split hairs over some elite athletes that have to be elite in order to be in the conversation. People don't realize that. And here we are splitting hairs over how good they are. That causes them to slide sometimes. But in the end, I think you're going to have 6, maybe 7 Alabama players picked in the first round. And it'll be a remarkable night for Alabama football and for these young men. But there's no reason that Devontae Smith. I think it was Cecil Hurt, maybe one of the other reporters said that it's hard to believe Alabama even won a national championship with so many unathletic players. So I mean, that's just crazy when you start thinking about it. Everyone has an opinion. My opinion is all these young men are elite athletes. The Alabama players will do well. I think that you'll see some surprises and there'll be some slides through every draft. But each player has a good opportunity to show what they can do. They already have done that in this past season.
Yep, and we'll talk about Nick Saban. May try to get you back another day this week, DC, where we can talk a little bit more sports. But Alabama definitely looking to have a big day. If a player is drafted, I think this will make 13 consecutive years with a first-round draft pick for Alabama.
After the first one is drafted, he passed Joe Paterno, I think, is the most NFL first-round pick.
Yep, and the most consecutive years is currently held by Miami at 14. Alabama will be one off the pace after this Thursday. Nick Saban doing a lot for Bama. Thank you, DC. For what you do, and we appreciate telling the listeners real quick where they can find you.
DCCapstoneReport.com, DC Capstone Report Facebook page. You can follow me on Twitter, DavidCott50. Thanks, Martin. Have a great day, and roll tide.
Roll tide. All right, remember this, trust in the Lord always, lean not your own understanding, and all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your paths. Roll tide, and remember someone and say a prayer for someone on this 10th anniversary of the 2011 storms. For Martin Houston, Joe Gaither, DC, guests, callers, chatters, we say roll tide and catch you on the flip side.
It's time to come together. It's up to you. What's your pleasure? Thank you for listening to the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports.
You too.
Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.